Hey, stop right now. Stop. Relax.
He just jumped.
Joshua, he just jumped from the...
Welcome back with another banger. It's the React Files. Let's get straight to it.
Yo, I got some bone-chilling videos to share with you guys about Yellowstone. But answer me this. Is Yellowstone supposed to look like this right now, y'all? All this geothermal activity? Is it supposed to look like this, y'all? You're going to want to turn the volume up for this over here. Now, there's this guy posting clips around Yellowstone of the ground literally groaning, y'all. Like giant marching ants are underground, like they're coming up, y'all. Check this out. Y'all hear that? It literally sounds like a helicopter, y'all. Something's boiling under there. It's a heartbeat. That's not all, y'all. He says he can feel it in his bones, in his spine. It sounds like the animals are running. And just to prove to you that it's gotten more intense over time, he puts a water bottle on the grass and this thing is jumping around like it's at a kid and play party. That's crazy, y'all. Listen. Y'all, the animals were warning us. Y'all remember those eggs they found in the water near a volcano where it sounds like they hatched? But the shift is here, y'all. Let me know what you guys think about this video. Let's continue to get it. Peace out.
Sounds like they hatch. Shout out to Conscious Juice. Not the water jumping around like a kid in play party. Nah, that's crazy though. It did sound like a helicopter. It only makes you wonder, you know? Like, yo, what's really going on? Something is definitely moving.
Have aliens landed in Compton? That depends on who you ask. We want you to take a look at this video. We have it looped several times. It's gaining a lot of traction online, especially from paranormal bloggers and YouTubers. In an interview with the Daily Mail, the woman who captured the video, Jessica Ortiz, says her doorbell camera picked up something moving through her yard on June 5th around 1 a.m. But the motion-censored cameras on the outside of her home didn't pick up anything. Speculation of what it ranges from people carrying plastic bags to children, and some who say it's really an alien. I think someone's messing with her.
Yeah. It looks like some kind of stunt.
It looks like a costume you buy when you're pretending to be an alien, right?
I would never just guess alien.
But it could be an alien. Let's not rule it out yet.
Right.
Come on. Let's do an investigation.
It looks terrifying. I don't want to encounter it.
Listen up. Y'all, there's literally a video in Spanish talking about what to do if you hear the trumpets. Bubba News posted it a little while ago. Watch this.
What to do if you hear the trumpets. Do not go outside. Lock your doors and windows. Do not look up. Do not attempt to record the sound or share it on social media. The signal has already been detected by international systems and does not come from any human or meteorological source. The sound has been recorded on multiple frequencies at the same time, and its pattern does not match any known instrument. If you are among the first to hear it, move away from other people. Do not talk to anyone who claims to have understood the message. If meaningless phrases begin to be repeated, in a low voice or in sync, leave that area immediately. Do not follow anyone who moves toward the source of the sound. They no longer respond. If your house begins to shake slightly or the lights dim, find a place without windows and remain silent. Do not respond to any calls from outside, even if you recognize the voice, especially if it comes from above. After the third trumpet, the sound becomes internal. Some begin to hear it inside their skull. If that happens, write down what you hear and burn the paper without reading it. Don't share it. Don't say it. The signal seeks to replicate itself. Remain silent. Remain in the shadows. Don't pray. Don't look to the sky. Don't respond to the sound. Trumpets don't announce anyone's arrival. They are the warning that he is already here.
I, for one, will be running outside looking up. This is just more deception with the alien invasion hoax.
That's crazy. Shout out to Itty Bitty Tara too. The creepy part was when it said, get away from people who are chanting the same thing in a low voice, like, yo, what's going on here?
Is the sun what we think it is? I'm over here looking at my plants, and I'm looking at the sun, and I'm looking at my plants, and I'm looking at the sun. Yo, check this video out. Something ain't right. This guy has sunflowers. His sunflowers are facing this way, okay? The sun is behind them. Heliotropism tells me that the sunflowers should be facing the sun, and they are not.
Well, let me show you something here about authenticity. And you guys tell me what you think about this. Can you see those sunflowers? Sunflowers have a thing called heliotropism. They face the sun and curve their face towards the sun every day, all day, every hour to absorb the sun. Can you see there? Yeah, they got their face turned away from the sun here. Now, if you look up over through there, you can see the beans and the corn and all that kind of stuff. And they don't have much choice. It's either grow straight up or fall down. But these sunflowers have a completely different mechanism. And for some reason, they don't like the sun. Now, I don't know what's causing that, but I'm inclined to say that the very people that took down my videos also might be responsible for this. Now, I don't know that to be the truth, and I have no one to point a finger at. But I do know that these sunflowers are not facing the right direction. This is a farm boy. Let me know what you think about that.
It's making a great point. Why aren't they facing the sun? Shout out to Piper Miller 31. Yo, that is crazy. When a sunflower won't even look at the sun, it definitely makes you question what's in our sky.
Mate, I've been sent in the weirdest piece of footage from Bulgaria, and it says here, owner of the property where the substance fell from the sky, okay? This is from Bulgaria, from a person called Mr. Ivanov. I'm going to try and translate what he's saying. He has good English, but I'm going to try and clean it up a little bit. So it says here, when we went, we saw a red ball. A slime was boiling like acid, and it smelt like molten metal and acid, and it was trying to set the grass on fire. I took the hose and poured water on it, and it disappeared. There is nothing. It was like it was washed away by the water. No trace of it remained, only where it was burning and the grass where the red one flowed through the yard. The water turned red like red rust. Very strange, mate. Now this whole ordeal is just hella weird, and what they could kind of recover, they took soil samples and it's being processed by the mining university, right? Very strange. I need some of your guys' kind of thought processes on this, you know? I know there was kind of lots of rocket testings and things being fired off into space from China and the US. Is there a possibility of some sort of debris from a rocket ship falling through and landing in this person's yard here? But, I mean, I've never heard of anything like this. This kind of goo that apparently just washed away after being sprayed with water with no sort of sign of what it was. I don't know, mate. Guys, let me know down below, because this is hella crazy, man.
От небето, бе. Виж към мръда.
То мръда, бе. Да не се тупнеш. Виж към мръда
На железо.
На газване. Беги че змял.
Ain't no telling what type of biohazard that is. That thing was smoking hot. Something like that could definitely start a wildfire. Shout out to Interstellar Discussion. The fact that it could be washed away with water with no evidence or prior trace says it wasn't meant to be seen by the general public.
While the media blames extreme weather, White Hat military intel confirms this was an act of environmental terrorism. President Trump didn't wait. While FEMA was stalled, special command units were already on the ground. Within hours, White Hat operatives rescued over 850 survivors, including young girls thought to be dead. And what they uncovered changes everything. Camp Mystic, targeted for a reason. The center of the disaster was Camp Mystic, a Christian summer camp for girls in Kerrville. But this wasn't just any camp, it's a known refuge for children of military families, whistleblowers, and conservative leaders. On the very day America celebrates independence, the camp was obliterated. The river rose 26 feet in under 45 minutes. A surge, meteorologists say, defies nature. Over 20 girls disappeared. At least 4 of them have family ties to ongoing investigations into child trafficking and bioweapons profiteering. White Hats tracked 7 GPS anomalies consistent with convoy movements during the blackout. These vehicles were not government marked and were accompanied by black ops-style security. Survivors reported seeing helicopters and drones in the area before the rain even started. This wasn't random, it was surgical. The tech they don't want you to see. White Hat rescue teams discovered military-grade debris, unmarked electronic components, and radiation anomalies in the flood zone. Satellite imagery of the storm was wiped from NOAA servers, and Camp Mystic's own servers were scrubbed just hours before the storm hit. Cell signals in the region were blocked for 90 minutes right as rescue efforts began. It was a digital blackout, a cover-up. Who's behind the storm? For years, the deep state has experimented with weather modification behind closed doors. Now, desperate and exposed, they've moved to full-scale weather warfare. The usual suspects reappear. George Soros, Klaus Schwab, Bill Gates, and the Rothschild banking dynasty. Their financial arms, BlackRock and Vanguard, hold stakes in geoengineering firms under military contracts. Gates has invested billions in climate intervention tech, from balloon-based chemical releases to cloud seeding. Soros has funded resilience zoning projects in Texas designed to justify UN-backed land seizures after engineered disasters. Leaked documents from the World Economic Forum label Texas a sovereignty threat zone. Now you see the bigger picture. Trump's response. Full military activation. On the 5th of July, President Trump signed Emergency Executive Order 2771, officially classifying the Texas flood as foreign environmental terrorism. This triggered full-scale military response protocols. The 101st Airborne Division, already stationed in Texas since January to support border security, conducted over 240 rescues pulling citizens from homes, rooftops, and cars swallowed by floodwaters. But there's more. Trump's team is now moving to invalidate all land seizure claims tied to Agenda 2030 disaster regulations. This isn't the first time the cabal has used disasters to steal land paradise, Maui, Pacific Palisades, each one, followed by suspicious land acquisitions and forced relocations. Accountability is coming. White Hats confirmed that over 110 federal employees connected to NOAA, FEMA, and DHS have had their access revoked amid an ongoing investigation into data tampering and obstruction. The message is clear: no more hiding. Not in Geneva, not in Brussels, not underground in Denver. The EBS system is being primed. Expect emergency alerts in the coming days as military tribunals and public disclosures move into high gear. The storm is here. Patriots, the flood in Texas wasn't just water, it was a signal. The deep state is cornered and they're lashing out, but we are not alone. We have the military, the truth, and a commander-in-chief who's 10 steps ahead.
I find it a very interesting world that we know more about 2 people at a Coldplay concert just hours after that viral video than we know of Thomas Crooks 1 year after attempting to assassinate you. What is holding back the investigation on Thomas Crooks?
Well, they've reported to me and they've told me things, and they really say they haven't found anything that was abnormal.
All right, I've got my thinking cap on, which means we are about to go into the depths of a rabbit hole. I hope you're ready. We are going to dive into the Dubin family's connection to Jeffrey because it is a perfect example of how wealthy and powerful people enabled Jeffrey's depraved desires, even if it came at the detriment of their own children. Just the other day, we talked about how Jeffrey always had access to teens, babies, and children outside of the children that he was procuring to SA and allow his friends to SA for his own profit because of his friends who would often shamelessly bring their children around him, the sitting president included. And I want to specifically zero in on the Dubin family connection because this is like the epitome, the blueprint of how money can corrupt your ethics and your morality. I think that there are many parents who were in Jeffrey's network who behaved in this way. So let's start at the very beginning of this story. We're rewinding back to the 70s when a young Swedish woman who was about 18 years old named Eva Anderson was walking down the streets of New York when she caught the eye of two individuals, the founders of Ford Models, Eileen Ford and her husband, Gerald W. Ford. The couple thought Eva was absolutely stunning. They stopped her while she was walking down the street, began talking to her, and recruited her to become a Ford model. Working as a Ford model gave Eva a lot of opportunities, and she would eventually begin dabbling in the pageant world. Eva participated in Miss Sweden 1980, where she would take home the title, followed by her great success in Miss Universe 1980, where she would come in the fourth runner-up. At the height of Eva's success, she would cross paths with a figure who was becoming increasingly well-known in New York City, Jeffrey. While we don't know for sure how these two actually met, Eva being a successful model in New York City and Jeffrey being a socialite, I imagine their social circles crossed paths at some point. The couple began dating in the early 80s, and they would have an on-again, off-again romantic relationship for about 11 years. On top of being an already successful model, Eva had ambitions to become a physician, and Jeffrey would pay Eva's way through medical school, which allowed her to become a licensed physician in Sweden and the United States. Now, jumping forward a little bit to the early 1990s, a hedge fund and capital investment manager named Glenn Dubin saw Eva modeling in the page 6 section and was immediately smitten. Now, for the sake of brevity, I'm not going to go too far into Glenn Dubin's background, but there is one thing that I want you guys to remember. In 1984, Glenn Dubin and his childhood friend started a capital investment management firm. In 2004, Glenn and his childhood friend's company was sold to JP Morgan for $1.3 billion. Just put a pin in that, because it'll be very important later. I won't go through Glenn's whole resume, but he has founded and funded many companies and foundations that involve oil, energy, medical, and scientific research. He's also a major political donor. He has donated in the past to Democratic presidential campaigns, and just recently, in this past presidential race, he donated $100,000 to Vivek Ramaswamy's Republican presidential campaign. Glenn Dubin is also a major donor to Harvard. Just keep that also in the back of your mind. Referring back to the timeline, when Jeffrey and Eva were in a relationship, before Glenn had ever laid eyes on Eva, Glenn Dubin was in a relationship and briefly married to a woman named Elizabeth Saltzman. And Elizabeth Saltzman is a well-known stylist, and she got her big break into the industry when she began working at Vogue and Vanity Fair in the early 90s. If you're not familiar with the name Elizabeth Saltzman is a known close associate of Ghislaine Maxwell, and they have been very close friends since the early 90s at least. Here's an old newspaper clipping that discusses Elizabeth Saltzman just after her divorce from Glenn Dubin. Their marriage was very short-lived. It was only about 2 years long. I don't know if you guys can see, but in this article, editor of Vogue, Anna Wintour, even comments about how well-connected Elizabeth Saltzman is and how she seems to know everybody. Here's a newspaper clipping from the Daily Sun circa 1992, in which we can see Ghislaine Maxwell, Elizabeth Saltzman, Russell Simmons, and many others were seen partying together alongside Ford Models, same modeling agency that scouted Eva Anderson walking down the streets of New York City. Here's another newspaper clipping from 1995 where Ghislaine Maxwell and Elizabeth Saltzman were seen partying together again. Here is Elizabeth Saltzman's name in the little black book that I think we have all began to understand was more likely Ghislaine's than Jeffrey's. Here's Elizabeth Saltzman with Prince Andrew. Here's Elizabeth Saltzman with Harvey Weinstein. Here's Elizabeth Saltzman with her boss, Graydon Carter, who was the editor of Vanity Fair from 1992 to 2017. And at this same event, we can see Ghislaine Maxwell with an obvious hairpiece hugging Graydon Carter while Harvey Weinstein lingers in the back. It is widely believed that Elizabeth Saltzman was Ghislaine Maxwell's kind of like foot in the door into the the high fashion social circles as well as the entertainment social circles. And Elizabeth Saltzman is not the main focus of this situation, but I think that is a very interesting connection that was within the Dubin family. After Glenn and Elizabeth Saltzman divorced, Glenn would see Eva modeling and wanted her. At this point in time, Eva was still close with Jeffrey. They were not in a romantic relationship at this time. Jeffrey's main girlfriend was Ghislaine Maxwell. Long story short, Glenn reached out to Eva. The two of them met, began a romance, and were married by 1994. The couple would then go on to have 3 children together: Selena Dubin, Jordan Dubin, and Maya Dubin. Even after Glenn and Eva had wed and began starting a family, they still remained very close with Jeffrey. They would party together, socialize together, and even do business together. Do you remember that JP Morgan Chase purchase of Glenn's company that we talked about earlier? The acquisition that made him a billionaire? Jeffrey was the one who was responsible for introducing Glenn Dubin to the CEO of JP Morgan Chase at the time, Jess Staley. And Jeffrey was the middleman who made the deal between Glenn Dubin and JP Morgan Chase that made Glenn Dubin a billionaire. And remember, this sale happened in 2004, so Glenn and Eva had been married for at least 10 years and had 3 children at this point. Out of the over $1 billion that Glenn was paid for this acquisition, Jeffrey was paid $15 million by Glenn Dubin for simply facilitating the deal. Jeffrey made these people billionaires, and because of that, he walked around with the presumption that the Dubin family was indebted to him. Not just indebted to him at the highest level, in the form of their firstborn daughter. Go to part 2 and I will explain to you how Eva and Glenn failed their children for the love of money.
For the love of money. That's crazy. Shout outs to Becca Day. You can see, yeah, they were all tied together, yo. Yeah, you could definitely see the connections, especially in the high fashion world back in the 90s. Like Vogue magazine and stuff like that.
Something really weird is happening with Area 51. First off, some of the people who used to work at Area 51 are coming out talking about how they received no benefits after being exposed to radiation poison. Check it out real quick.
So the radiation exposure that we experienced was for 4 years we lived up there. They knew when they did the assessment that our air was contaminated, our soil was contaminated, and our drinking water was contaminated. So the water that my food was cooked in was contaminated. The water that I showered in every day was contaminated.
And while that's being talked about, coincidentally, there is also a wildfire near Area 51 that is raising some speculation and causing people to come up with theories. Some people believe that the wildfire won't just burn up area or desert land around Area 51, but will also conveniently burn up any evidence of whatever happened in the last 50 years there as well. Personally, I think it's so interesting watching a place going from being just a rumor or something people didn't even think existed to being openly talked about in the court of law.
Yeah, these whistleblowers, they had them living like the video game Fallout. That's crazy. What are they doing under there? The water being contaminated with radiation? Shout outs to Don't Ghost Me.
I've seen physical beings that are definitely not like our animals up here come out of these spaces from inside the earth. I've seen in deep underground military bases, dogmen, like you would kind of describe them, some more humanized. And I think a lot of those were experimentation and genetic splicing. I think a lot of that was gene editing stuff that I've seen. But I do believe that some of these things are holdovers from the old days. They're the last of their kinds, and they've been breeding them. Right. And I believe that that's the stuff that's prophesied that's going to come back out and cause the hearts of men to stop for fear of looking after these things that are coming up on the earth. You know, that's why everywhere I went throughout my youth, I could go to these tunnels and these caves and call out, and I could hear them and they would call back, you know, and it's like it's a seductive power that draws you back into it.
You could call out to them? Like, yeah. Was it like a language or a sound or what?
Oh, yeah, man. You can learn to call to them. You can go out here in these hills out here and do it. You can still do it tonight on these full moons and stuff. You can start calling out and you'll think you'll hear coyotes at first. And then all of a sudden it's a totally different, you know, it's a different sound that starts to resonate. And then it's a different one that calls off from over here, right? You got to understand some of these guys that you think are just neighbors and stuff or just people, like this is what they keep in their barn, you know? This is the stuff they keep. Yeah, absolutely.
Car repo gone wrong.
Not today, Kevin. Don't let me hit that fold button on you. Now he's super fucked. Darman? Is that your name, my guy? Your car's still in park and drive, man. Okay, bro. What are you doing? You got an order for it to pick up. Okay. What are you doing? You got an order to pick the car up.
Give my car.
Huh?
Give my car, bro.
I can't do that. It's already been picked up, my guy.
Bro, give my car, bro.
I can't do it. It's already picked up.
Give my car, bro.
It's already picked up.
Drop my shit off.
Man, I got everything on camera, my guy.
I don't care. Give my car. Give my car. Right now.
No,
I got the ups on me. Give my car.
No.
Give my car.
No, my
You
guy.
up there, I'm finna blow your ass up. Give my car.
Man.
Don't move. Give my car.
Huh?
You up on me, I'm finna blow your ass up.
I'm not, man. I'm sitting here telling you.
Drop
I'm
it right
showing
now.
you the
I don't
order.
care. Drop it right now. Hey, drop it right now. I'm finna pop you. Don't move. I'm finna pop you. Drop my car. Drop my car right now. That's what I asked you. You reach.
Back up
You
off
reach.
my
I'm
shit.
finna pop you.
Back your ass
Reach.
up and I'll
Drop my
this
shit.
motherfucker.
Drop it now. Don't
Back
reach.
up and I'll
drop your gun right now.
Back
drop
up
your
and I'll
gun.
drop the car.
Drop you up.
That's not the Star of David or Solomon up in there, that window. That's the Star of Remphan and the Tabernacle of Moloch. This is Acts 7:43. You also took up the Tabernacle of Moloch and the Star of your God, Remphan, images which you made to worship, and I will carry you away beyond Babylon. Right, that's the seal that Solomon took from the Tabernacle of Moloch. Okay, this is City Hall over here. See how it says Green Island Power Authority Executive Offices? This is City Hall, the chief of police in here. Right here in Kings 5:15, Solomon had 70,000 who carried burdens and 80,000 who quarried stone in the mountains, besides 3,300 from the chiefs of Solomon's deputy who supervised the people who labored in the work. And that's why you have the police chief in this building right here, along with the sheriff's office and the deputy's badges. It's the Seal of Solomon, or the Tabernacle of Moloch, and the Star of Remphan as their god. Right behind me on the corner, that's the police station right there. Right, there's the Tabernacle of Moloch down there. Here's the chief of police right in this building. So yeah, this looks like a fortified structure. Also at the top, this is all fortress walls. This got fortified in 2nd Chronicles by King Solomon, or Solomon's son, Rehoboam. Right here, 2nd Chronicles, Rehoboam fortifies the cities. He dwelt in Jerusalem and he built cities for defense in Judah. Okay, I'm gonna go across the bridge and show you the Judah temple. Right here, these are the houses of David going across. There's your Judah line right here in Revelation 5:5. It says, "But one of the elders said to me, do not weep. Behold, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the root of David, has prevailed to open the scrolls and to loose its 7 seals." That's the lion representing the tribe of Judah right here.
In this video, you're going to see how they literally cover up our real history. Now, there are many statues on this cathedral that they beheaded. Now, I'm going to tell you exactly why in a minute, so stick around. Now, this is the Notre Dame Cathedral de Rouen in France. One of the most sophisticated architectural anomalies in the entire world. 0% chance that anyone with a hammer and chisel built this right here. Now, all over this cathedral, there are statues that are beheaded. And it's very interesting to me, and you're going to see right here, there's many statues with missing heads. And the reason for this, guys, is because these heads were showing the real origins of our humanity, not just human faces. Now, there are hundreds of different examples of mythical creatures found all over our ancient past. Perhaps a lot of these statues could have displayed these mystical creatures. And this is just one way they cover up our real history. All you need to do is look and see at the mathematical and geometrical precision and sophistication behind this specific building, the divine architecture, resonators at the top of the building that were built to harness energy from the atmosphere, the insane and intricate detail to everything. And this is what it looks like on the inside. Now, I have a question for you guys. If this was done by a primitive civilization with hammer and chisel, why are the insides of all these cathedrals across the entire world all very similar? Vaulted ceilings, massive pillars, divine instruments. Literally all across the world, this is what we're seeing. Now, how is that possible if they're primitive, they have no communication with each other, and they're all building the exact same way? Somehow these primitive cave dwellers were highly advanced sound engineers, and they knew about cymatic patterns, which are patterns made by frequency and sound. These buildings were 1, power plants, 2 frequency healing centers, not places for worship, and they were built by a highly advanced civilization, the Tartarian Empire. This is fallen angel technology. Nothing that we have been told is the truth. Everything in society is distracting you from you because the real truth is found within ourselves. You need only to look within to find the real answers. And don't forget to like, share, and follow for more hidden truth. Love and peace.
Makes me think of the cartoon Gargoyles from back in the day. Shout out to Sheldon Shariah 369, making a great point right here. The more intricate the design is, the more powerful the building.
Just had a brother say to me that this was a church. I mean, I get it. He don't understand. He don't know. You know what I'm saying? He don't know what they've been doing. You know what I mean? He just know what he was taught. Oh, wow. Look at this. Oh, my God, bro. Ooh. Ooh, look at this. Look at this. At the top is 4 pillars, right? This a lie right here. That's a straight lie. That brick don't even belong there. That brick don't even belong there, man. Look at this massive building here, bro. Look at it. I'm trying to get enough before the time go out. But as y'all know, this is the roof. There's no way in hell I should be able to touch the goddamn roof. There's no way in hell. So you know this shit go deep. Super deep. Look at it. Look at it.
Part 2. Okay, you guys remember a couple of days ago when I was asking, who is this child on Jeffrey's lap that is seemingly asleep on his private plane? Well, I think I figured it out. Jeffrey took a special interest into Eva and Glenn's firstborn daughter, Selena Dubin. Eva and Glenn made Jeffrey the godfather of all 3 of their children, and they would refer to him as Uncle Jeffrey. Jeffrey was a frequent flyer for years in the Dubin home, often staying with the family for extended periods of time. Jeffrey was regularly in attendance for the Dubin family's Thanksgiving dinners. Eva and Glenn would often take their children and travel to Jeffrey's Palm Beach mansion or just go on other lavish vacations with Jeffrey and their children. Flight logs show that Eva and Glenn were often traveling on Jeffrey's private plane with their 3 young children. And if we look at the flight logs from the early to mid 2000s, while knowing this photo was also taken in the early to mid 2000s, plus the age that this little girl appears to be. If we take it all into account, it is very likely that that little girl was Selena Dubin, Glenn and Eva Dubin's oldest daughter. And it could even be argued that this little boy here, Jordan Dubin, Selena's brother, is the little boy who is censored in the background of this photo. I would put money on this little girl being Selena Dubin. Before Virginia Gouffre passed away, she was very outspoken about the Dubins. In 2021, she shared an article that was highlighting the Dubins' involvement with Jeffrey. In this tweet, she calls the Dubins co-conspirators and predators. People began to ask Virginia what she meant by this. She shared this tweet stating that Glenn and Eva allowed Selena to receive nude massages on Uncle Jeffrey's balcony at just 6 or 7 years old. On pages 44 and 45 of Virginia's memoir, she goes into depth about her experience with the Dubin family. Virginia shares that the Dubins were some of the first clients that Ghislaine assigned her to massage after Virginia had passed her trial run with Jeffrey. I did a video a few days ago talking about how Virginia was recruited at Mar-a-Lago by Ghislaine and was SA'd by Ghislaine and Jeffrey the same day that she was recruited from Mar-a-Lago. Virginia recalled massaging both Glenn and Eva. Eva was pregnant at the time, likely with their youngest daughter. Virginia also recalled that the Dubins had 2 other children that were staying there at Jeffrey's Palm Beach mansion. Virginia goes on to share how after she was done massaging Eva and Glenn, Eva stood up and left the room, and Glenn proceeded to take advantage of Virginia. Virginia recalled being confused on how a pregnant wife could be okay with what was happening. She also couldn't reckon how Glenn could do this so shamelessly while his pregnant wife and children were just in the next room. Virginia's recollections of the Dubin family, of Glenn taking advantage of her, of Eva being okay with it, of both of them being okay with their little girl being preyed upon by her creepy Uncle Jeffrey, become even more disturbing when we take a closer look at some of the photos that were put into evidence of the raids of Jeffrey's homes. As you guys probably remember, we have seen photos of boxes of VHSs being pulled out of Jeffrey's home, as well as dozens of CDs and discs. This has long been thought to be part of Jeffrey's collection of photos and videos of children being harmed, as well as blackmail. But if we look closely at one of the discs that was taken into evidence, we can very clearly see that it says Selena AV Shoot 2, and it's dated 8/12. If photos and videos of Selena are on this disc and it was filmed or photographed in August of 2012, Selena would have been about 16 years old. Something notable that involves Selena is internet sleuths, I can't take credit for this, internet sleuths right around the time when Jeffrey passed away were able to find and confirm that this account was authentically Jeffrey's Spotify account. And if we take a look at Jeffrey's playlist, we can see that there's a whole playlist called Selena, and it contains a lot of pop music that a teenager might enjoy, as well as quite a few suggestive songs. Not songs that I would ever want my uncle to send me. Certainly not songs that I would ever want my uncle to listen to and think of me. Now, this next piece of information is completely damning. Any parents out there, just brace yourself. This might get you a little worked up. 2009, when it came time for Jeffrey to go in front of the probation board, Glenn and Eva wrote Jeffrey a glowing letter for the probation board to read. In this letter, they state, "We are the parents of 3 children. They are all under the age of 18. I am aware that Jeffrey is a registered offender and had to plead guilty for soliciting and procuring children for a word I can't say. I am 100% comfortable with Jeffrey around my children." When Selena turned 18, about 4 years before Jeffrey's demise, he created a $50 million trust that named Selena as the beneficiary. According to sources that were close to Jeffrey, Jeffrey began to talk about wanting to marry her and wanting her to inherit his island. According to the Dubin family, so take it with a grain of salt, Selena was removed from that $50 million trust just before Jeffrey's second arrest. While we don't have the financial records to prove that, we do have the financial records to prove that in the mid to late 2000s, Eva was diagnosed and survived breast cancer, which prompted Eva and Glenn to create the Dubin Breast Center at Mount Sinai Medical Center, a hospital that Glenn is a trustee of. We also have the financial records to prove that in 2013, Eva Dubin created a fund called the Selena Dubin United Fund. And this fund was created so that Jeffrey could donate to the Dubin Breast Center at Mount Sinai Medical Center under the radar, because it certainly wouldn't look too good on the Dubin's part to be receiving and accepting donations from a man who was sitting pretty on the registry. In part 3, I just have a couple more details I want to share with you guys that I can't fit in this video.
The fact that this all can be proven shows you what mainstream media isn't doing, and that's uncovering the truth of what's really going on. Shout out to Becca Day.
A lot of y'all's been saying this, that he's in the files. Does this prove it? So from what they're saying, Bondi told him in May that he was in there. We do know he was implicated through business ties, but this could be way deeper. Until they release this list, I have no further support for anybody in either party, and I will not vote again.
A few months ago, I made a couple of videos showcasing the atmosphere in Las Vegas and how it was looking pretty scarce. A lot of people thought it was cap, how people thought I was lying. Fast forward to now, y'all. Now Las Vegas is feeling the implications of this, y'all. Check this out. Vegas is completely dead.
I ain't never seen Vegas look like this on a Saturday at 1 in the morning. Where's the people?
This is last Saturday, y'all. What is going on? Nobody's there.
What the fuck? Like, I can't make this shit up. Holy shit, bro. This is a Saturday.
Nobody's on Fat Tuesday. There's always someone at Fat Tuesday, y'all. Look at that. Nobody's on the Venusian Bridge.
Tourist hubs are very rapidly declining, and it's a very serious issue. Las Vegas hotel occupancy is down dramatically, and that is with the decline of overall available hotel rooms. Remember that the Mirage is no longer operating, and remember that the Tropicana is now closed as well. So with less rooms, the occupancy is lower. Las Vegas and other tourist communities are doing very poorly in terms of foreclosures. Nevada is number 2. Nevada has the second highest states for foreclosures nationally. Las Vegas foreclosures are 2 to 3 times the national average. There are reports on communities like Reddit where people are starting to talk about the rampant impacts of what they are calling layoffs in Las Vegas.
If you go on TikTok, there's a whole bunch of influencers that's talking about their experience in Las Vegas right now, y'all. Go check it out. But yeah, y'all, I told y'all this was coming. The shift is here. This is part of the shift. Vegas ain't safe. Let's continue to get it, y'all. Let me know down in the comments below. Peace in.
Guys, check this out.
Give me an example of a food that's a vaccine.
You recognize? Yes. University of California, Riverside has already perfected the ability to put human vaccines into our lettuce right now. Also tomatoes has the ability to do that also for UC Berkeley. And then Big Tobacco, RJ Reynolds and stuff has perfected the ability to put a human vaccine into tobacco products. Chairman Clements?
And is that even legal to do in the state of Tennessee, to sell those with a vaccine in them?
You recognize? Well, I'm not arguing that point. What I'm saying is there is no law deeming those that when you go into a grocery store, you should know as a consumer, this head of lettuce is a head of lettuce. The head of lettuce right next to it could contain a vaccine in it. All we're saying is if it does have the vaccine in it, make sure it's listed as a pharmaceutical so people can get the proper dosage. You recognize?
Thank you. Well, my question is right now, can you walk into a grocery store and there be a head of lettuce for sale that has a vaccine in it? I don't think that's allowed under state law presently. And if it is, and you have to list it as a pharmaceutical, are we going to then have Walgreens pharmacists with a refrigerated section? I mean, how's this going to play out?
You recognize? Thank you. This is more of a consumer protection bill right here, is to make sure that if you...
All right, if you don't believe in an intelligent creator, God, I just want you to watch this video. This is 1000x zoom on the human eye. Look at the complexity. Like, this is wild. What does this look like to you? The human eye is so incredibly complex. To think that this all came from a big bang, order from chaos, is insane. We were intelligently designed by an intelligent creator, obviously. Peace and love.
I agree. Fascinating stuff. The beginning like little fingers and knuckles. Shout out to Samantha for sharing this video.
What's a movie that you've watched that you 100% believe got some truth to it? This isn't a movie, but I'm gonna go with Squid Games, and just to stay true to the question, I'll also throw in Hunger Games. Basically, the concept that a group of billionaires would create some sick and twisted game for poor people to play just so that they could entertain themselves seems like something that could actually happen. I mean, we've already had a billionaire go down for owning an island dedicated to catering to other rich PDFs, and the public knows about this. I could only imagine what happens behind closed doors with billionaires that never gets found out. It's also no secret that the homeless population in places like Florida, California, and all over the world really go missing without a trace frequently, so there wouldn't be a lack of supply if there was a Squid Games type event. To me, it just seems probable that billionaires probably get bored quick since they've already seen and done everything that there is to do, which would lead them to do some crazy things like Squid Games or Hunger Games type events. But leave a like and let me know in the comments, what movies or shows do you think 100% has some truth in it?
I definitely agree when it comes to Squid Games. Shout outs to Don't Ghost Me. At this point, you can add iRobot to that list. And of course, The Matrix.
Can someone explain what in me bumper car is this above frickin' London, mate, right? So this was sent in by someone on email called Ricardo of a strange type of formation above London, which doesn't look like a plane. What in the... is that, right? Emitting smoke with something trailing behind it. I'll put the full video at the end as well, right? The formation is weird. Okay, it's glinting. It almost looks like it's kind of got dots around it. I have enhanced this a little bit, just so you can kind of see a little bit better. I'll put the unedited version right at the back as well, at the end of this. But what the is that? And it's got something following it up there, mate. Right? What is going on? I know budget cuts in Britain are bad, bro, but we can't even piece together an actual aircraft anymore, mate. This thing's like a Meccano set with wings. What the fuck is that? Any aviation experts, anyone that just kind of understand what the hell is going on here? And is your actual plane, your normal one you would expect, bruv, right? Not whatever that was. Look at it. Chucking out smoke. The thing looks transparent in nature, bruv. And then it just goes, yeah, alright, mate, in a bit. Hey?
Don't they look like a fleet of UFOs, right? I swear, and they were throwing all that smoke as well.
So we just had this thing flying in the sky in Massachusetts, and you mean to tell me that nobody remembers what happened right after the eclipse? And now that we have another eclipse coming up, these things show back up again? If you didn't know, right after the eclipse, these things were caught in the air in every single state in the United States, just hovering over cars. Videos of them every single day. And I'm about to say something important, so hold on. And that's not all, but we'll get to it. So people are trying to say it's a plastic bag. It's the size of a plane. They say, oh, it's a kite. If it was a kite, it's a giant kite, and a kite with bioluminescence. People will say anything in the world and try to rationalize it, regardless at the cost, just to feel safe. But those that remember, these things, the same exact color, flying all around the United States. So even while the eclipse was going on, we had these creatures just moving through the clouds at the same exact time. TikTok even removed the video for theorizing they could be demons. Shame on you, TikTok. But that wasn't all, because in the weeks after the eclipse, all these weird phenomena started showing up in the sky. And I mean everywhere, and all the time, especially that white squiggly thing we saw at the beginning of the video. And of course, his ring looking very similar to the Arrival movie, and there were rings all over the United States again. And for the people who were claiming bugs, no, they showed up everywhere looking all sorts of different colors. And so did apparitions with them. So now you mean to tell me we have another eclipse coming again for 6 minutes and these things are popping up in the air again. When this eclipse happens, pay attention. If you're there to film it, and download the videos you see online as quick as possible, because there'll be many forces out there trying to delete the videos as fast as possible. Just like last time, so we can't prove what we saw.
No worries, that eclipse is in 2027. He makes great points. Shout outs to the real Moo Henry.
Have a look at Dragon's Neck Mountain. Now, many people, including myself, believe that this is a giant, petrified dragon. Dragons were spoken about throughout all of our ancient cultures, throughout religious texts. It is one of the animals in the Chinese zodiac, all real animals in the Chinese zodiac, with the dragon as well. Now, there are hundreds of examples of this, but this is perhaps my favorite. This was discovered during a renovation of a cathedral in Naples. You can see the dragon. This is our real history. The evidence of this can be found all over our world. Petrified beings, snakes, dragons, scales like this, Naka cave, Naka means snake. You'll see, it's all over our world, guys. All over our ancient history, all over our past. These are dragons. They're dragons. Like, come on now. The evidence is so clear. You just have to listen. Listen to what our ancestors told us. Listen to what all these religious texts told us. They all depicted these creatures. And then you have our society, which is run by the Satanists, which rewrite all of the history and tell you lies to keep you ignorant to, the real origins of humanity. Perhaps when we see all these melted old buildings and structures, like this as well, and like this, it might make you think that dragons were involved. But let us know what you think in the comments down below, and make sure to like, share, and follow for more hidden truth. Peace and love.
Now, because of pressure, we have Attorney General Pam Bondi saying she's agreed to meet with Ghislaine Maxwell. Yeah, here's the headline coming out of NBC News. Deputy Attorney General will meet with Epstein accomplice Ghislaine Maxwell. And she says, if there's more to figure out here, we're going to see if we can get to the bottom of it. This is all fake, and you should not accept this. The moment that she should have just gone away and we could stop listening to Pam Bondi is the moment when she actually said that she was not sure whether or not Epstein could have been working for another country. Despite the fact that we have testimony in the form of Viktor Ostrovsky, who we covered. He defected from the Mossad, wrote a book, gave many speeches, speaking about exactly how he worked with Jeffrey Epstein, what his capacity was. Mossad has confirmed that Viktor Ostrovsky is not a fraud. He used to work for them, okay? So yeah, you got some evidence there. Also, Ari Ben-Menashe saying that, Epstein was brought to us. He was supposed to involve him in weapons dealing, the Iran-Contra affair. You know this, Pam Bondi, because the public knows this. So if you're playing stupid, it means that you are now a part of the swamp. You're part of the deep state. You are covering things up. And they're trying even more distractions, releasing the MLK files. Oh, we're going to now look into, here's everything. Here's a trove, tens of thousands of documents pertaining to the assassination of MLK, as if we don't already know that the feds shot him. Meant to be a distraction. I actually love that MLK's daughter, Bernice King, tweeted this. Check this out. Now do the Epstein files. No one is being distracted, you guys. We all recognize what exactly is happening, and it's a good thing. Stay focused on this because, like I said, this is the thread. This is the undoing. Everybody's going to wake up very quickly to the tapestry of deception that has been very carefully woven.
Okay, part 3, let's wrap this up. So the Dubins, like Jeffrey, have very strong ties to Harvard. The Dubin family has given Harvard a $5 million donation and helped them establish the Harvard Kennedy School in 2010. So the Dubins sent all 3 of their children to Harvard, right? Well, we know Jeffrey was giving hefty donations to Harvard beginning in the late 90s. And in 2005, for some reason, Jeffrey was appointed a visiting fellow in Harvard's Department of Psychology. Even after Jeffrey was convicted and placed on the registry, Harvard still allowed Jeffrey to have key card access. They allowed him to use office space. They allowed him to listen in on classes and mingle with the students. He basically had unfettered access to the campus, despite the fact that he was on the registry. In 2008, the president of Harvard at the time announced that they would no longer be accepting any financial donations from Jeffrey. So Jeffrey began donating directly to professors and their research funds for him to continue to have unrestricted access of campus. I'm sure you guys know one of the very big fish in this whole case is Alan Dershowitz, who was a professor of law at Harvard and a close friend and associate of Jeffrey for many, many years. Alan Dershowitz has been O.J. Simpson's defense attorney, Harvey Weinstein's defense attorney, our sitting president's defense attorney. Let's not forget who represented Jeffrey in his sweetheart deal. Who was his attorney? Alan Dershowitz. And let's remember, when Alan Dershowitz was negotiating that sweetheart deal and getting immunity for unnamed accomplices of Jeffrey, he was getting immunity for himself because Alan Dershowitz is all over the flight logs and has been accused by multiple victims of harming them. You get the picture. Both the Dubin family and Jeffrey deeply intertwined within Harvard. I point this out because can you imagine having parents like Eva and Glenn that for the entirety of your childhood, they have you in the presence of a creepy old man who is looking at you lustfully. And you finally get a chance to break free and go to college. And that same creepy old man has unrestricted access to your campus. And your parents know it. At every turn, Eva and Glenn chose to put their children in the belly of the beast. Top to bottom, it is just completely shameful. And I know that Eva and Glenn are not the only parents who did this. To become so blinded by money, opportunity, and luxury that you don't even stop and think about the potential trauma that you're inflicting upon your own children is a sickness. Okay, that's all I have for you guys right now about the Dubins. I could go a lot further in depth with that story, but I think you kind of get the picture. I do have another deep dive coming for you guys here within the next day or so about the former Florida sheriff's deputy who worked on Jeffrey's first arrest and fled to Russia with copies of the entirety of the case file of Jeffrey's first arrest after the FBI raided his home when Pam Bondi was the Attorney General of Florida. Lily Marsden and I are going to be dropping a limited series podcast going over the entirety of the timeline of this case, going all the way back to the origin stories of Jeffrey and Ghislaine and Robert Maxwell, all the way to present day, and all of the players involved, broken down in a comprehensive way with receipts, with facts, with links, with resources, etc. And we're going to start filming that next week. I'll keep you guys updated with that, and I will see you guys in the next deep dive.
That got deep. That's crazy. Shout out to Becca Day. Totally crazy the trauma these kids went through. Go to college and that creepy uncle is still there. Like, man.
Normal. We're all in the wrong circumstance capable of anything. But I said to this person, I don't get the like underage girl thing. That's like, they're not into it. They're kids. Maybe I have too many kids or something. I'm not being self-righteous, I'm just being honest.
No,
I just don't get that. I don't see any appeal at all.
It's a pathological obsession. I mean, Epstein was into girls with braces specifically.
Exactly. So what is that? And the conventional explanation is, maybe I'm being too honest, but I think this is really revealing because it's not about sex. It's a spiritual thing. And I said, what is that? And this friend of mine said, it's the thrill of destroying innocence. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And that is the definition of evil. That is Satan right
Well,
there.
that was-
It's taking something pure. I guess this is maybe, I'm the only person who never thought of this. Maybe you already have. I had not thought of that. I was like, it's not just a sexual attraction. Like, oh, I think, underage girls with braces are hot. They're not. No normal person thinks that. That's bizarre. No. The idea is that I'm destroying something that's pure.
Yeah, and throughout history...
Well, that's Satan acting. Sorry.
Throughout history, people have looked at that as something that confers power. That's what child sacrifice is.
Exactly!
But we've always known that Jeffrey and Donald lived very close to one another in Palm Beach. But I put their addresses into Google Maps last night to see just how close they lived to one another. Yeah, these two were literally neighbors. Lived a mile down the road from one another. A mile down the road, besties who lived walking distance from one another. Literally lived down the road from one another, which makes so much more sense how easily Jeffrey and Ghislaine were able to scoop girls out of Mar-a-Lago and bring them to Jeffrey's mansion. Just a mile down the road. I've never really been one to get into the tunnel theories other than the tunnels under the Playboy Mansion because we have access to the blueprints and the photos of those existing. But I wouldn't be mad if we released blueprints from Mar-a-Lago and Jeffrey's Palm Beach mansion. The thing is, these people were so brazen, they didn't need tunnels to do all this in. But it is crazy to me how closely these two lived from one another, besties for over a decade, and how Jeffrey was using Mar-a-Lago as a hunting ground. But there's still people out there who believe Trump had no involvement in any of this.
This is why they want TikTok censored. Shout out to Becca Day, bro. Yo, look how close they lived. And y'all still talking about this guy? I can't blame her for laughing. Each day it becomes a joke.
Bro, I'm just making this post to show you guys, these people are in a different fucking world than us. They're auctioning trips, Super Bowl tickets, round trip flights for 30 to 50K each fucking one. This is actually crazy. Look at that. They're just different people, bro. These people just shit on every single... Maybe they're the higher ups, bro. I don't know.
There was a classified project, Operation Spectrum, using ultrasonic and electromagnetic frequencies to subtly influence people's thoughts, emotions, and actions, all without them realizing it. Certain frequencies have been found to cause everything from mild anxiety and discomfort to calmness and even compliance. By adjusting the frequency output, they can make a crowd restless, focused, or subdued, all without a single word. Theoretically, this could be used on mobile emitters, devices embedded in street lights, traffic cameras, and even cell towers. These emitters would be capable of influencing whole neighborhoods at once, creating moods or reactions in the population without anyone noticing, using frequencies to calm crowds or disperse them without force.
Clubs in which the same parties together. What I would like to know is how a career modeling agent has now somehow become a United Nations diplomat and is now working in our current administration, especially since his work with the UN consisted of collaborating with Ghislaine Maxwell's oceanic non-profit environmental cause Terramark. We all remember the Terramark project, right? This non-profit that Ghislaine, likely, and Jeffrey founded to kind of like look like good people in the world. If you've watched Ghislaine Maxwell's TED Talk about the Terramark project, you know that this was just a cover to make themselves look like they cared about anybody and the planet. As you can see right here, the Terramark logo looks exactly like the logo that we have seen in many, many photos. Like between 2013 and 2014, Ghislaine and Paolo, who used to party together with the richest of the rich, were now sitting together at United Nations meetings. Not only is he a career modeling agent, not only is he a UN diplomat, not only has he worked directly with Ghislaine Maxwell, he's also a frequent guest at Mar-a-Lago. And furthermore, in March, whenever Trump was doing the weird takeover of the Kennedy Center, Paolo Zampoli was placed on the board of the Kennedy Center with Trump and named a special envoy for global partnerships. The guy who allegedly introduced Melania and Trump was associated with Jeffrey and Ghislaine, was associated with multiple co-conspirators within Jeffrey's case and Ghislaine's case, and was a big boss in the world of international modeling, an avenue that Jeffrey and Ghislaine would often use to prey upon girls and women. When we put all that together, I think we can put him on the list of people who would benefit from these files never being released. Just from that very surface level glance into Paolo Zampoli that we just did, I just feel like there could be some conflicts of interest. And I fear what I will find if I continue to dig deeper. I just simply cannot figure out how Paolo made it from point A to point B. Like, from a career modeling agent to a UN diplomat working in the administration. But what I think is very interesting about Paolo shows us that there are shadowy figures in this administration who we don't see regularly, who we don't talk about regularly, who would absolutely benefit from those files never being released.
And that's a wrap. Hope you enjoyed the rabbit hole. If you enjoyed this video, please consider to like and subscribe to the channel. Shout outs to all the reactors. Thanks again. Till next time.